The Cannonball Run looks like exactly what it is on the surface. A loose, star-packed comedy about fast cars, bad disguises, and zero consequences. Roger Ebert gave it half a star and called it an embarrassment, and honestly, he wasn't wrong about the quality. But here's what the critics missed. This movie is a genuine act of rebellion. It's based on a real, completely illegal cross-country race that was created out of pure rage at the US government. And the man who invented that race also wrote the screenplay and put himself in the film. The ambulance you see on screen is the actual van from the actual race. If you love deep dive behind-the-scenes videos like this, go ahead and like and subscribe. We cover the greatest movies every day and dig up the secrets they've been hiding in plain sight. Now, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. Let's get into it. J.J. McClure, Burt Reynolds, and his unhinged sidekick Victor, Dom DeLuise, race coast to coast in a disguised ambulance. Alongside them, Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. as drunk fake priests, Roger Moore playing a man who sincerely believes he is Roger Moore, and Jackie Chan, listed in the credits as Japanese despite being, by every possible measure, Chinese. A real Learjet lands on a public road with zero FAA permits. A prop mustache sells at auction to Freddie Mercury for $25,000. And a stunt woman is left paralyzed on set in an accident the director somehow forgot to include in his autobiography. These are 15 cinema secrets and weird facts about the Cannonball Run. Fact 1. A real Learjet lands on a public road with zero permits. Then the feds come knocking. There is a scene where a Learjet lands on a narrow road. Not a model, not a visual trick. A real, full-sized Learjet, worth around $2 million in 1981, touching down on a public road with no FAA permits, no safety crew, and no official clearance of any kind. The production reportedly flew it in under FAA radar and filmed the landing in a single take. No rehearsal, one shot. Moving on. When federal aviation authorities found out, an investigation opened. No criminal charges were filed, but strong warnings were issued. Needham, a man who had broken nearly every bone in his body at least once during his career as Hollywood's most daring stuntman, was not exactly intimidated by a letter from a federal agency. The scene stayed in the movie. He also got the governor of Georgia to shut down an entire small town for production. When you have the governor on speed dial, certain legal inconveniences tend to dissolve. Fact 2. Real police nearly shut down the entire film in downtown Las Vegas. During production, the crew filmed a car chase in downtown Las Vegas without properly coordinating with local authorities. Real officers on patrol spotted what appeared to be cars racing through city streets at high speed. They had no idea it was a movie. They responded in force. Actors froze. The crew scattered. Equipment was abandoned in the middle of the street. The shoot was stopped mid-take by actual law enforcement who genuinely believed they were responding to an actual illegal street race. Nobody was arrested, but the production received an official warning. Needham kept filming the next day. The Learjet stunt, the Las Vegas chase, the permits they skipped, none of it was accidental. The entire production operated in the same gray area as the characters it was depicting, which, in hindsight, is completely appropriate. They were making a movie about people who deliberately break traffic laws across the country. The filmmakers were simply staying in character. Fact 3. The Cannonball Run is a real, illegal race. It starts with journalist Brock Yates at Car and Driver magazine in 1968, furious about the incoming 55 miles per hour national speed limit. His response? In May 1971, he loads up a van called Moon Trash 2 and drives nearly 3,000 miles from New York to Los Angeles in about 41 hours, just to prove the government wrong. He barely tells anyone he's doing it. The point stands anyway. He runs the race 5 more times between 1971 and 1979. By the final one, 46 teams show up in modified ambulances, fake police cruisers, and a hazardous waste truck. Time magazine runs a full story in 1975. It's completely out of control. Yates shuts it down himself in 1979. Not because the police catch him, but because he can see that 46 cars doing 80+ miles per hour through America is a disaster waiting to happen. The government never catches anyone. The man who starts the race is the one who ends it. Then he turns it into a movie. Fact 4. The ambulance really goes 145 miles per hour. When you watch JJ and Victor tearing across the country in that beat-up ambulance, you're looking at the actual vehicle Needham and Yates raced in the real 1979 Cannonball, not a prop. A heavily modified Dodge Tradesman van with a massive 440 cubic inch engine, 90 gallons of fuel spread across 4 filler holes, and a top speed of 145 miles per hour. In the real race, Yates' wife Pamela rode in the back strapped to a gurney pretending to be a patient. A real doctor came along for credibility. When they got pulled over in Pennsylvania, the officer believed every word and waved them through. That scene goes directly into the movie. Despite all that preparation, the ambulance never finished the actual race. The transmission blew out in Palm Springs, 50 miles short of the finish line. Needham kept it in storage for years. When it was time to make the film, he repaired it and put it back on screen. After filming, he donated it to a church charity, which auctioned it off for a significant sum. A holy vehicle with a 145-mile-per-hour engine. God works in mysterious ways. Fact 5. The man who invented the real race wrote the movie. After the race's end, Yates writes a screenplay pulling directly from everything that actually happened. The fake ambulance, the disguised priests, the shake, and the Rolls Royce. Nearly every wild idea in the movie is something someone actually did in real life. 2 other similar films beat him to theaters first, so Yates retooled his script, and the more serious action movie version he originally envisioned slowly became a star-stuffed comedy. He later wrote in 2002 that Reynolds butchered his original vision. Then he cashed the check. In the film, Yates plays the race organizer at the starting line, the real inventor of the race officially starting the fictional version of it. Director Hal Needham also appears, uncredited, as a paramedic in the back of the ambulance, the same ambulance he and Yates actually drove in the real 1979 race. Fact 6. Burt Reynolds was the biggest star in Hollywood and openly admitted he sold out. In 1980, Burt Reynolds is the #1 box office star in America. He'd held that title for years and could make almost any film he wanted. So why choose a silly car race comedy? Because Hal Needham, one of his oldest friends, made him 2 promises: 14 days of filming and $5 million plus a share of the profits. Reynolds said yes. He didn't even pretend to be proud of it later. He said publicly, "I did that film for all the wrong reasons. I never liked it. I did it to help out a friend of mine, Hal Needham. And I also felt it was immoral to turn down that kind of money. I suppose I sold out." Ebert gave it half a star. The screenwriter said Reynolds ruined his vision. None of it mattered. The movie made $160 million worldwide. Reynolds was voted most popular actor in America 5 years running. Even a movie he openly called bad couldn't slow him down. Fact 7. Farrah Fawcett had absolutely no idea she was in a comedy. By 1981, Farrah Fawcett is one of the most recognizable people in America. Her 1976 poster sold 12 million copies, the best-selling celebrity poster of all time. After Charlie's Angels, she was working hard to establish herself as a serious actress. When she was offered a role in the Cannonball Run, she reportedly believed she was signing up for a genuine action romance. She prepared seriously and showed up on set ready to work. Then she saw what she'd walked into. Dean Martin was in a Catholic priest costume doing drunk bits. Dom DeLuise was in a superhero cape screaming Captain Chaos. Roger Moore was playing a man who genuinely believes he is Roger Moore and getting hit in the face for laughs. According to multiple accounts, Fawcett didn't fully realize the film was a broad comedy until the premiere, watching the audience laugh at scenes she had played completely straight. Fact 8. Critics destroyed it, audiences could not get enough. The gap is staggering. Roger Ebert gives it half a star, as close to 0 as you can get. He calls it an abdication of artistic responsibility at the lowest possible level of ambition. Variety calls it full of insider Hollywood jokes nobody cares about. On Rotten Tomatoes, 29%. On Metacritic, 28 out of 100. The critical consensus: no real characters, barely a story, somehow feels longer than it is. Here's what makes that wild. None of those reviews move a single ticket. The film opens at number 2 at the box office, behind only Superman 2, earning $11.7 million its first weekend. At the time, the 4th largest opening weekend in movie history. Final total, $72 million in North America, $160 million worldwide. The budget was $18 million. It finishes as the 6th highest grossing film of 1981. When Burt Reynolds and his friends showed up on screen clearly having a great time, audiences showed up too. Critics could write whatever they wanted. Reynolds' fans simply did not care. Fact 9. Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. had so much fun that Frank Sinatra personally showed up for the sequel. Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr., two lifelong friends and members of the famous Rat Pack, show up as drunk fake priests and proceed to have more fun than either had experienced on a set in years. They improvise constantly. They crack each other up until neither can finish a line. In the blooper reel, Martin fumbles the simple phrase, "rosary beads," and the entire take dissolves into laughter. None of it was scripted. All of it was real. Martin and Davis went back and told Frank Sinatra everything. The laughs, the loose atmosphere, the fact that most stars worked only 2 or 3 days and got paid very well for it. They talked him into the sequel. Sinatra appears in Cannonball Run 2 in 1984, making it the last major gathering of Rat Pack energy ever captured on film. One critic noted that in every scene supposedly showing Sinatra and Reynolds together, the two men are never actually in the same frame. Sinatra filmed alone at a desk, Reynolds reacted to an empty chair. Frank Sinatra barely had to show up. He negotiated the Rat Pack deal. Cannonball Run 2 was also the last film Dean Martin ever made. He never acted again. There are worse ways to go out. Fact 10. JJ's prop mustache sold at auction for $25,000 to Freddie Mercury. Reynolds grew his iconic mustache in the first place to stop people saying he looked like Marlon Brando. In the Cannonball Run, JJ wears a separate prop mustache as part of his disguise, not Reynolds' own. After production wrapped, it ended up at auction. The winning bidder was Freddie Mercury, lead singer of Queen and owner of one of the most recognizable mustaches in rock history, which he himself grew around 1980, right when the film was shooting. So, Freddie Mercury, a man with one of the most famous mustaches on Earth, paid $25,000 to own a fake version of another famous man's mustache. Was it admiration? A collector's impulse? An elaborate joke? We genuinely don't know. After his death in 1991, Mercury's personal collection went to auction in 2023. Over 1,400 items, nearly $49 million total. His personal mustache comb alone sold for $189,000. Freddie Mercury had very strong opinions about mustache accessories. Some people are simply built different. Fact 11. Paramount Pictures nearly sued the entire production into oblivion. Before signing on to the Cannonball Run, Reynolds had an existing contract with Paramount Pictures to star in a romantic comedy called Paternity. The deal was done and the schedule was built around him. Then Needham showed up with $5 million and a 2-week commitment. Reynolds made his choice. Paramount was furious. The studio threatened to sue the production, Golden Harvest, and 20th Century Fox all at once, arguing that Needham had deliberately convinced Reynolds to break his Paramount commitment. The lawsuit was settled quietly. The records aren't public, but the threat was real and serious. Reynolds did eventually make Paternity, also in 1981. Modest hit. The Cannonball Run made $160 million worldwide. Sometimes the most legally questionable choice is also the correct financial one. Not advice, just data. Fact 12. Hong Kong money and the demand for Jackie Chan. The film is financed by Golden Harvest, the Hong Kong company that made Bruce Lee a global superstar. After Lee's death in 1973, company head Raymond Chow turned to a young stunt performer named Jackie Chan. By the early 1980s, Chan was a massive star across Asia. Chow put up the money for the Cannonball Run with one non-negotiable condition: Chan had to be in the cast. Chan was written in as the driver of a gadget-loaded Subaru, competing as Japan's entry in the race. The problem? Chan is Chinese. Born in Hong Kong in 1954, not Japanese. His co-star Michael Hui is also Chinese, also from Hong Kong. They speak Cantonese throughout the film. In the closing credits, Chan is listed as Mitsubishi Driver Number 1, Mitsubishi being a Japanese car brand. Chan later said being labeled Japanese was personally disrespectful to his Chinese identity. Fact 13. Roger Moore plays himself while also not playing himself, 5 days before playing himself for real. Seymour Goldfarb Jr. is the heir to the Goldfarb-Girdles fortune. Yes, really. And he is completely convinced that he is the actor Roger Moore. He introduces himself as Roger Moore. He enters the race as Roger Moore. He drives an Aston Martin DB5 and behaves exactly like James Bond. His own mother is the only one who calls him Seymour. Moore plays the role with dry, knowing wit, gently making fun of his own public image with the confidence of someone completely comfortable being famous. Bond fans catch a nerdy detail. Seymour's Aston Martin carries the license plate 6633PP, which appears in Goldfinger and Thunderball, both Sean Connery Bond films. Roger Moore's Bond never drove an Aston Martin. He drove a Lotus Esprit. The official Bond production company reportedly wasn't happy, and future Bond contracts were updated with specific language preventing any sitting Bond actor from parodying the character in other films. The Cannonball Run is the last time that happened on screen. The timing is almost too good. The film opened June 19, 1981. Moore's actual Bond film, For Your Eyes Only, premiered just 5 days later. For a brief stretch, Roger Moore was simultaneously in theaters parodying James Bond and actually being James Bond. No one else has ever done that. Fact 14. The real women behind the Lamborghini scene. In the movie, the most memorable team is 2 women in a black Lamborghini Countach whose strategy when pulled over is simple. Unzip the racing suit, deploy the charm, drive away. It is very 1981. The real women who inspired them had a completely different experience. The actual women's team in the 1979 Cannonball included Judy Stropus, an automotive journalist, Donna Mae Mims, a real race car driver known as the Pink Lady, and Peggy Niemczek, 3 accomplished women in the automotive world. They didn't race a Lamborghini, they drove a limousine. Their limousine overturned during the race. When it crashed, a portable toilet on board burst open and soaked all 3 of them in green fluid. Brock Yates described it as the team being baptized by green fluid from a portable toilet. Judy Stropus said years later, "A little editorial license never hurt anyone." She was fine with Hollywood swapping their chaotic, soggy reality for a fantasy version. Yates also noted that Stropus's own published account of her Cannonball experience conveniently left out the portable toilet incident entirely. Everyone involved preferred the Lamborghini version. Honestly, fair enough. Fact 15. The tragic stuntwoman accident. There is one story from this production that the movie never spoke about, the director never mentioned in his autobiography, and most people who saw the film in 1981 had no idea even happened. Her name is Heidi von Beltz. She is 24 in the summer of 1980, a championship skier, actress, and stuntwoman in training. Her boyfriend, Bobby Bass, is the stunt coordinator on the film. He calls her to the desert location outside Las Vegas for what he describes as easy work, a piece of cake. The car is a vintage Aston Martin, bald tires, defective steering, no seatbelts. The stunt driver asks for repairs before the scene and is told to make do. The car slams head-on into the first oncoming vehicle. Heidi is thrown into the windshield. Her neck is crushed. She is paralyzed from the neck down and never walks again. When Needham published his autobiography in 2011, he mentioned a big mishap during filming, a funny anecdote about a crane accidentally dropping onto a Ferrari. Heidi von Beltz is never mentioned. Not her name, not her injury, not the lawsuit. Her lawsuit changed Hollywood permanently. Seatbelts became mandatory on all stunt vehicles. The Directors Guild established rules prohibiting last-minute changes to stunt plans without proper review. Those rules are still in place today and have saved countless lives. Heidi died on October 28, 2015 at age 59. She never received the public credit she deserved for transforming the safety culture of every film set that exists. But her name is on those rules. The Cannonball Run is easy to dismiss. Critics did. Burt Reynolds himself did. But underneath the loud, silly, star-stuffed surface is one of the wildest true stories in Hollywood history. A protest against government overreach that became a real, illegal race. That became a screenplay that launched Jackie Chan's entire blooper reel tradition, reunited the Rat Pack one final time, landed a $2 million jet on a public road, and permanently changed the safety laws protecting every stunt performer working today. What makes this film endure isn't the plot. It barely has one. It's the reckless, genuine joy of people doing something they weren't supposed to do and not caring who knew it. You can feel it every time the blooper reel rolls and Dean Martin can't say the word beads. If this deep dive hit different, smash that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Which fact made you rewind? The Learjet? The mustache? The portable toilet? We want to know. At no time during this video did we exceed 175 miles per hour. We promise.